Welcome to the Deep Dive, where today we talk money. Specifically, why hitting that $100,000 net worth mark is often described as unlocking cheat mode in the game of life. You know that feeling, right?
Absolutely.
Before this milestone, you're grinding like a broke video game character armed with only a wooden spoon, barely making a dent.
Yeah, it's a tough climb.
But after,
Yeah.
well, that's when compound interest swoops in like a magic sword, making your money work harder than you ever did at your old job.
That's a great analogy.
Forget winning the lottery. This is honestly the closest thing to financial sorcery. And hey, if you're still in that early grind phase, don't worry. Our deep dive is free.
Ha, that's right.
Produced by the ever-brilliant FireflyHaku, who somehow keeps this show together without demanding a single dime of crypto or stock options.
Indeed.
So subscribe, listen, and maybe one day soon you'll be laughing at your bank account instead of crying into your ramen.
That's a perfect way to set the stage. What we've consistently found across the sources we've explored is a really powerful and honestly surprising message. The journey to your first $100,000 net worth is fundamentally different.
Different how?
Well, different from reaching any subsequent financial milestone. It truly is a unique phase. We're going to dive deep into the core principles that explain precisely why your money starts working so much harder for you after this point, and most importantly, share actionable strategies to help you get there as efficiently as possible.
Okay, let's unpack this right away then. Why this specific number, $100,000, not $50,000 or $200,000? What makes it such a pivotal financial turning point?
It's a great question, and it really comes down to a consistent theme from almost every financial expert and successful investor we looked at.
Okay.
The late Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's legendary business partner, he famously put it best, maybe a bit bluntly.
How so?
He said, the first $100,000 is a bitch, but you gotta do it. I don't care what you have to do, find a way to get your hands on $100,000.
Wow, direct.
Yeah, his bluntness and that emphasis on any legal means necessary really highlights its importance. The sources make it undeniably clear that your net worth truly begins to, well, explode after you've accumulated this initial sum.
So it's not just a number.
Exactly. It's not just a numerical milestone. It's a psychological and practical shift in how wealth is actually built.
So it's not just about reaching a number, but fundamentally changing the nature of your wealth accumulation. That's a fascinating insight. What are the underlying financial principles that explain why this shift occurs so dramatically at $100,000?
There are two main principles, and they work powerfully together. The first is that capital scales incredibly well.
Scales well. Meaning?
Meaning the benefits or returns you get from having capital increase proportionally, and sometimes even more than proportionally, as the amount of capital itself increases. Think about it practically.
Yeah.
If you invest, say, $100 in the stock market, and let's assume it generates a 10% return in a year, that's an extra $10.
Right. Not exactly life-changing.
Exactly. That's certainly more than zero, but for most of us, $10 isn't going to change our lives. You could probably earn that in an hour or so working a job, maybe less.
Sure.
But now imagine if you had $100,000 invested with that very same 10% return. Suddenly, you're looking at $10,000.
Okay, now that's different.
Right. The amount of effort you put in to research the investment, the risk you took, the time it sat in the market, all of that remains the same, yet the result is vastly different because of the initial capital.
So it takes money to make money.
That's essentially why people say that. You need a certain critical mass for your investments to truly start working for you in a meaningful way.
That distinction is incredibly important. It's not just more money, but a different kind of money making. So if the first principle is about the sheer power of having enough capital, what's the second? You mentioned a snowball effect earlier.
Precisely. The second principle is the snowball effect of compounding. It's like rolling a small snowball down a long, snowy hill. As it travels, it doesn't just get incrementally bigger. It gathers more and more snow, picking up speed and momentum, and growing, well, exponentially.
Yeah, it gets bigger faster.
Exactly. To truly illustrate this, let's try a classic, maybe slightly mind-bending thought experiment. Would you rather have $1 million right now, or a single penny that doubles every single day for 30 days?
The million sounds tempting up front.
Most people instinctively pick the $1 million. And for the first part of the experiment, that seems like the smart choice, honestly. On day one, you have just 1 cent, a 0.11 tenths.
Okay.
After 10 days, you only have about $5.12. It's a very slow, maybe even boring start, right?
Yeah, I'd be questioning my choice.
You might even feel a bit foolish for choosing the penny. But then the acceleration kicks in. By day 20, that penny is suddenly worth around $5,242.
Whoa, okay. Big jump.
Still not a million, but a significant leap. And here's where it gets truly wild. By day 28, you're over $1.3 million.
Over $1 million from a penny.
Yep. And by day 30, that humble penny has grown to over $5.3 million.
That's incredible.
This analogy is incredibly powerful because it shows that reaching your first $100,000 net worth is kind of like getting to around day 20 in that penny doubling example.
Ah, the end of the slow part.
Exactly. It's the end of that slow grinding phase right before the exponential growth truly takes off.
That is genuinely mind-bending, and it really clarifies that initial slow period. So what does this all mean for someone actively building their net worth? Can we see this acceleration, this cheat mode really activating in more real-world investment scenarios?
Absolutely. The math on this is surprisingly stark when you look at it. Let's look at how long it takes to hit various milestones if you save a consistent $10,000 a year.
Okay, practical amount for some.
Right, and get a modest but realistic 7% annual return on your investments, which is roughly the historical average for the stock market over the long term.
Got it.
Your first $100,000 would take you about 7.84 years. Let's call it almost 8 years.
Okay, nearly 8 years for the first time.
And listen to this, that accounts for about 25.5% of the total time it would take you to reach $1 million with these same assumptions.
A quarter of the time for just the first tenth.
Wow. Yeah, a significant portion of the journey for just the first tenth of your goal. But then here's where the magic starts. Getting to your next $100,000, so going from $100K to $200, only takes an additional 5.1 years.
Okay, faster. Almost 3 years quicker.
Right. And from $200,000 to $300,000, just 3.78 years.
Getting faster still.
To $400,000, about 3 years. And to hit $500,000, you're looking at just 2.5 additional years.
Half the time it took for the $100K to $200K jump.
Precisely. The time it takes for each additional $100,000 gets progressively shorter because your existing capital, your snowball, is contributing more and more to the growth.
The returns are generating returns.
Exactly. And if you continue saving and investing, that next $900,000 after your first $100,000 takes up about 75% of the total time to reach $1 million. But here's the really astonishing part. Once you hit that $1 million mark, the next $100,000 after that, it only takes about 15 months.
15 months. Compared to almost 8 years for the first one.
Just 15% of the time it took you to get your first $100,000. This vividly illustrates what the sources mean when they say all the friction of wealth accumulation is in the beginning. The heavy lifting is truly, truly front-loaded.
That's a powerful revelation. It sounds like that initial phase, reaching the first $100,000, isn't just difficult, but it's the real proving ground, the real grind.
It really is.
What specifically makes it so challenging, and how does the contribution from our own earnings stack up against investment returns during this critical period?
This raises a truly important point, maybe the most important for people starting out. The data consistently shows that the overwhelming majority of your first $100,000 will actually come from money you work for and actively save.
So, not investment magic.
Not primarily, no. It's mostly about your personal effort and discipline. For instance, if you're saving $15,000 a year for 6 years and getting a modest 4.5% return on your investments, you'll hit roughly $105,000. But a staggering 85% of that total comes directly from your hard-earned savings, with only about 15% from investment returns.
85% from just saving. That's huge.
It is. And even with a higher investment return, let's say you save $10,000 per year at a more aggressive 10% return for 7 years to reach about $104,000.
Right.
Still, about 67% of that total is from your direct savings. The critical point here, the takeaway, is that your first $100,000 is almost never made just from the magic of investment gains alone.
It's the grind.
It's fundamentally about being smart and intentional with your money,
Yeah.
actively spending less than you earn, and consistently trying to increase your income. It's about your actions.
That insight really makes you rethink daily spending habits, doesn't it?
Right.
Knowing just how much hinges on that first $100,000. How might it change your perception around something like, I don't know, casual night out drinking or impulse shopping for trendy clothes you don't need?
Or even just choosing a car payment that's maybe $300 more per month than you truly need. It absolutely should change your perspective. Before you hit that $100,000 net worth, every single dollar you save or invest is incredibly important. You often hear people talk about saving on things like daily coffee or avocado toast.
Right, the small stuff.
And while some of that advice can definitely be taken to extremes, there's a foundational truth to the idea of saving as much as you reasonably can, especially when you're younger.
Every dollar counts.
Exactly. As one source put it, while it might seem like a simple or even dumb saying, $1 million is made up of a million single $1 bills, powerfully emphasizes that every dollar matters. Slowly stacking them up is precisely how you reach those bigger numbers.
It's not glamorous at first.
No, and we live in such an instant gratification world, right? Sometimes people get frustrated and maybe rage spend, blaming society for high costs, which, let's be honest, are indeed high.
Sure.
But regardless of those external factors, it really comes down to being reasonable with every dollar you control and making those short-term sacrifices for a significant long-term gain. This is where your financial willpower is truly tested.
Okay, so we've covered the why it's important and the what makes it so hard. Now for the how. With these powerful financial principles in mind, the question for our listeners becomes, what can you concretely do to accelerate your path to that first $100,000? What are some of the most practical, actionable strategies the sources recommend for getting there as quickly as possible?
Right. This is where we shift from understanding to action. And the sources highlight several key strategies, often categorized into, let's say, offense and defense, plus optimizing the money you already have.
Offense and defense, I like that. Let's start with offense.
Okay, first we have strategy 1. Increase your offense, boost your income. This is about actively focusing on increasing the amount of money you earn. Your offense should be geared towards generating more wealth.
How can people do that?
Well, there are several ways. Taking continuing education classes or getting certifications to increase your value in the marketplace. Trying new side hustles or freelance work to diversify your income streams.
Good ideas.
Maybe switching jobs if it clearly presents a better opportunity with higher pay or better benefits. Or actively developing a specific high-income skill that makes you more valuable.
So be proactive about earning potential.
Exactly. The core idea here is to spend your time allocating your resources, including your time and energy, to building wealth rather than just spending it. Every extra dollar you earn at this stage is a dollar you can put to work for you, getting you closer to that cheat mode faster.
So it's about making your income a deliberate wealth-building tool. That makes sense. But what about the other side of the coin, how you manage what you already have? The defense.
That brings us to strategy 2. Play good defense, optimize your spending. This concept is famously highlighted in the book The Millionaire Next Door.
Oh yeah, classic book.
Right. It studied millionaires back in the 1990s and found that most were surprisingly regular people with incredibly consistent foundational financial lifestyles. Not flashy.
Right, they live below their means.
Exactly. As the book states, if you cannot increase your compensation significantly, become wealthy some other way. Do it defensively.
So defense is key if offense is limited.
Or even if it isn't. Defense simply means strategically spending less money. This involves thoughtful planning, maybe diligent budgeting, and consciously cutting back on those discretionary categories where you might typically overspend.
Like eating out, entertainment.
Things like that. Most millionaires in that study knew exactly how much they spent on things like eating out, not necessarily because they loved budgeting, but because they needed to keep their spending in check to build wealth.
It's about control.
It is, and it's crucial to balance cutting expenses with increasing income, especially with today's higher cost of living. But every dollar saved is effectively a dollar earned, and at this early stage, that dollar saved has a disproportionate impact on reaching your goal.
It sounds like it's about intentionality with every dollar, whether it's coming in or going out. Speaking of making dollars work harder, what's strategy 3? Maximize efficiency of your dollars. How do we get the most out of the money we've already managed to save?
This strategy focuses on making the dollars you do have work as hard as possible for you. And one of the absolute best ways to do this is to utilize tax-sheltered accounts.
The alphabet soup, IRAs, 401k.
Exactly. These are special investment accounts designed to help your money grow more efficiently by reducing or deferring taxes. For instance, a Roth IRA allows your earnings to grow completely tax-free, and withdrawals in retirement are tax-free too, provided you follow the rules.
Tax-free growth is powerful.
Hugely powerful. A traditional IRA gives you a tax deduction on the amount you contribute each year, lowering your current tax bill, and your money grows tax-deferred until retirement.
So benefits now or later.
Right. And 401k plans, often offered by employers, can be incredibly potent because they frequently offer employer matching contributions.
That's free money.
Essentially, yes. It's free money, plus you get similar tax benefits to a traditional IRA. Utilizing these accounts helps you accumulate and keep more of your money, mitigating high tax rates and significantly accelerating your early wealth accumulation.
Makes sense. What else for efficiency?
Another crucial efficiency, especially for your emergency fund or money you plan to use in the short to medium term, like for a down payment, is using a high-yield savings account, HYSA.
Instead of just a regular checking account.
Definitely. If your cash is just sitting in a regular checking account earning, 0.01% interest, it's actually losing purchasing power to inflation every day.
Right.
Many HYSAs today pay competitive interest rates, often in the 4% to 5% range, sometimes more depending on the market. Banks like SoFi, Wealthfront, Ally, or Marcus are common examples offering these.
So your safe money still grows a bit.
Exactly. This means your cash is working for you even before it's fully invested in the market, adding meaningful growth to your savings without taking on additional investment risk.
Those tax-advantaged accounts and HYSAs really do seem like crucial tools to get the most mileage out of your money early on. What other advice do the sources offer that's absolutely vital for someone trying to sprint or at least jog consistently towards that $100 K mark?
Based on all the math we've seen, the compounding examples, it's absolutely vital to start investing early, even if you have very little money to start with.
Don't wait until you have enough.
Don't wait. The initial stages, as we discussed with the penny doubling, are inherently slow. It can feel discouraging. But the sooner you begin, the quicker you get through that boring phase and into the truly explosive growth part of the curve.
Time is the key ingredient.
Time is your greatest ally in compounding. Whether it's a retirement account, a general stock market account, through a brokerage, just get started with something. Anything.
Okay, start early. What else?
Beyond that, the sources point to a strong, two-pronged approach that many successful people use for getting to a $100 K and building wealth beyond that.
2 prongs, like what?
First, invest money consistently in the stock market through simple, diversified vehicles. We're not talking about picking hot stocks here.
Keep it simple.
Yes, this means things like index funds, which track a broad market like the S&P 500, ETFs, exchange-traded funds, which are similar but trade like individual stocks, or well-managed mutual funds. The key is diversification and consistency. Keep it simple, contribute regularly, maybe every paycheck, and adopt a set-it-and-forget-it mentality.
Don't panic sell or try to time things.
Exactly. Don't try to time the market. Just stay consistent over the long haul.
Okay, that's prong 1. Simple, consistent market investing. What's prong 2?
The second prong, particularly for those looking to build significant long-term wealth and who plan to settle somewhere, is to save money strategically for a down payment to buy a home in an area you actually want to live in long-term.
Home ownership as a wealth builder.
Right, because this strategy allows you to use 2 powerful financial forces to your advantage: leverage and inflation.
Explain leverage in this context.
Leverage means you're controlling a large asset, like say a $400,000 home, with a relatively small amount of your own money, maybe a $40,000 down payment, 10%.
Okay.
If the home appreciates in value, say by 10%, $40,000, you get the benefit of the entire home's appreciation, which effectively doubles your initial down payment in this example, not just the return on the cash you put down.
That's powerful. And inflation.
And inflation generally works in your favor as a homeowner with a fixed-rate mortgage. Over time, inflation tends to increase your home's value and potentially your income, while the actual amount of your fixed mortgage payment stays the same, effectively reducing the real value of your debt over time.
So your debt becomes cheaper in real terms while your asset grows.
That's the idea. For example, if you put that $40,000 down payment on a $400,000 home and home prices inflate by just 10% over a few years, your equity just went up by $40,000 on paper, essentially doubling your initial investment, minus costs, of course.
And where should you keep that down payment money while saving?
That goes back to efficiency. While you're saving for this down payment, it's a perfect place to keep that money relatively safe, but still earning something in a high-yield savings account, maximizing its growth without market risk.
Okay, let's unpack this and bring it all together. We've explored how that initial $100,000 net worth is less about some kind of wild investment genius.
Right, much less.
And far more about disciplined saving, smart spending, playing good defense, and actively increasing your income, playing good offense. It's really about laying the essential groundwork, building that solid base for the true exponential growth, the compounding, to really kick in later.
It really is the undeniable key to unlocking that financial cheat mode we talked about at the start. It makes your money start working much, much harder than you thought possible.
If we connect this to the bigger picture then, it underscores a fundamental truth about wealth accumulation.
Yeah.
The hardest part is undeniably in the beginning.
Absolutely. That period requires the most personal effort, the most discipline, and frankly, the most patience. It tests your resolve.
But the payoff is potentially huge.
It's immense because persistence truly pays off exponentially once you cross that $100K threshold and keep going. While it's certainly not going to be easy, nobody's saying it is.
No.
Trusting the math, understanding these principles we've discussed, and committing to the process is precisely how people build significant wealth and achieve financial freedom over time. It's a proven path.
This raises an important question for you, our listener, to consider right now. Knowing how much faster wealth builds on the other side of that $100,000 hurdle after the toughest part is done.
Yeah.
What one small sacrifice in spending, maybe cutting back on something specific, or what one new income-generating activity, like starting that side hustle you've been thinking about, what one thing will you commit to starting today to accelerate your journey past that initial hardest phase?
Because that cheat mode is waiting.
It really is. Find that one thing, start today, and begin building towards it.